title for today's story is Alone on the Peak, Descent into Madness. Chapter 1, The Beginning. My name is John, and I was once a successful businessman with a beautiful wife, Sarah, and a comfortable life in the city. But all of that changed when Sarah was diagnosed with cancer. We fought hard together, but in the end, she lost her battle. I was left alone, a widower with a broken heart and a life that no longer made sense to me. After months of mourning to honor Sarah's memory by taking a solo hike up to the summit of Mount Solitude.
We want you to be a part of our journey, so please subscribe and hit the like button to stay updated on our latest content. Also, if you have any real or fictional horror stories that you would like to share, please leave a comment below or on our Reddit forum, which you can find in the description box. And if you would like to get credit for your story, just let us know how you would like to be credited. So, join us in this terrifying journey and subscribe now.
Welcome to the family, son.
It was a place that Sarah and I had always talked about visiting together, but never had the chance. The mountain was located deep in the heart of the wilderness, a place of raw, natural beauty that was said to have a powerful healing energy. I packed my backpack with all the necessary gear and set out early in the morning. The sky was still dark and the air was chilly. The trailhead was located on the edge of a dense forest, and as I stepped onto the path, the only sound was the crunching of fallen leaves beneath my boots. The hike was steep and challenging, but I was driven by the memory of Sarah and the desire to reach the peak. As I made my way deeper into the wilderness, the trees grew taller and the air grew colder. I trudged through rocky terrain, crossed swiftly flowing streams and climbed steep inclines. The trail was rugged and wild, and it felt like I was the only person for miles. But even though I was alone, I felt Sarah's presence with me every step of the way, and I knew that this hike was exactly what I needed to start healing. Chapter 2, The Descent. I reached the summit of Mount Solitude just before sunset, and the view from the top was breathtaking. I felt a sense of accomplishment and peace, knowing that I had honored Sarah's memory in a way that was meaningful to both of us. But as I began my descent, the tranquility of the mountain began to shift. The sky had grown dark, and the forest was alive with shadows. The trail that had once felt peaceful now felt ominous, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me. I tried to tell myself that it was just my imagination, but the hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The wind picked up, and the trees began to sway and groan. I heard strange noises in the distance, like the whispering of voices, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone on the mountain. I quickened my pace, but the trail seemed to grow more treacherous with every step. I stumbled and fell several times, my legs were weak and my heart was pounding. I was disoriented and terrified, and I knew that I needed to get off the mountain before it was too late. But as I reached the trailhead, I realized that my nightmare was just beginning. I reached into my backpack to grab my flashlight and it was not there. My heart sank and my mind raced. I was lost in the wilderness with no light. I was trapped in the darkness and I knew that there was no turning back. The whispering voices grew louder, and I could feel something closing in on me, something dark and malevolent. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I had to run. I stumbled and fell, but I kept moving forward. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew that I had to keep moving. I was lost and alone, and I knew that the only thing that could save me was to keep running. Chapter 3, The Pursuit. I was running for my life. The darkness had closed in around me, and I could hear the whispering voices growing louder and louder. I could feel something following me, something dark and malevolent. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it was getting closer. I stumbled and fell, and the ground beneath me seemed to shift and change. The trees were no longer recognizable, and I couldn't tell which way was up or down. I was disoriented and terrified, and I knew that I had to keep moving. I could hear the sound of footsteps behind me, and I knew that whatever was chasing me was getting closer. I had to keep moving, but my legs felt like they were made of lead. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel the sweat pouring down my face. I could see a light in the distance, and I knew that it was my only hope. I pushed myself to run faster, but the darkness seemed to be closing in on me. I could feel something breathing down my neck, and I knew that it was right behind me. I reached the light, and it was a small cabin. I stumbled inside and slammed the door shut. I was safe, but I knew that it was only temporary. I could still hear the whispers and footsteps outside, and I knew that whatever was chasing me was still out there. I was trapped and alone, and I knew that I had to find a way to escape before it was too late. Chapter 4, The Revelation. I sat huddled in the corner of the cabin, trying to catch my breath. My heart was still pounding, my hands trembling as I struggled to process the events that had just occurred. I had been running for my life, and it was only by sheer luck that I had stumbled upon this abandoned cabin. The fear I felt was overwhelming, for I had no idea what was waiting for me outside. I slowly got to my feet and surveyed my surroundings. The cabin was small and cramped, with a single window that had been boarded up. The floor was made of rough-hewn wood, and there was a small fireplace in the corner that had long since gone cold. It was clear that the cabin had been abandoned for an extended period of time. I walked over to the window and peered through a crack in the boards. The darkness outside was absolute, and I could hear whispers and footsteps growing louder by the second. I knew that I had to find a way out of there before it was too late. With a sense of desperation, I began searching through the cabin for anything that could aid in my escape. I found a rusty old axe and a flashlight, but little else. I knew that I had to keep moving, but my options were quickly dwindling. Just as I was about to give up hope, I spotted something that made my blood run cold. In the back of the cabin, there was a door, slightly ajar. I walked over to it and pushed it open. The room beyond was vastly different from the rest of the cabin. It was filled with strange symbols and markings, and there was a large altar in the center of the room. The smell of blood still hung heavy in the air, and it was clear that something had been sacrificed on the altar. I realized that I had stumbled upon some kind of ritual or sacrifice, and that whatever had been chasing me was a part of it. I knew that I had to get out of there before it was too late. I turned to run, but as I did, I was met with the sight of a figure standing in the doorway. It was a tall, dark figure with glowing red eyes. It was the thing that had been chasing me, the thing that had been whispering in my ear. I knew that this was the end for me, and I braced for the worst. But to my surprise, the figure let out a deep, guttural sound and then vanished into thin air. I returned home, but from that day forward, I couldn't shake the image of that figure from my mind. I tried to tell my family about my experience, but they thought I was losing my mind after the loss of my wife, or maybe I am going crazy.
Thank you for watching the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. If you're feeling brave enough, leave a comment and let us know which story was the most frightening for you. And if you have any horror stories of your own that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear them.